Happy Sunday! It is another episode of Women Need to Do Better. I am your host, Shelly Kirschenman, confidence coach here, helping high-performance women, leaders just like you, reclaim your power, your energy, and your time. This podcast is all about empowerment and being confident in every aspect of your life, whether that's work, your friends, family, everything, but most importantly, how you show up for yourself. So in each of these episodes, I talk about different situations that we have that negative self-talk or that we might doubt our abilities and our confidence kind of gets a little bit pushed to the test. And so hopefully listening to these podcast episodes, you can start doing that deep work to rediscover how amazing you are and start setting boundaries. So that way you start putting yourself first, because we can't pour from an empty cup. And the better care we take care of ourselves, the more energy we have, the more we can thrive, and the more that we can help everybody else, which is what we like to do. So let's learn how to be selfish together so that way we can do more for others. And welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in again. We are on episode 11. Just a quick recap on our episode 10 on Thursday. We were talking about the self-sabotage and negative talk of that never-ending to-do list. How sometimes we feel like we don't do enough, and that makes us feel inadequate, and it holds us back from being the superpower woman that we are absolutely capable of. And in this episode, I wanted to talk about how sometimes we feel like we're doing it all alone. We're our own cheerleader. And I don't know about you, but sometimes in my journey, I've got big dreams and big aspirations, and I feel a little bit unsupported. And that is in my own mind. I know that people around me love me and they support me, but they don't always understand me. And part of the feeling alone is when we are in our own heads and we sort of expect some support and validation from external sources, from the other people that are around us. And we put a little bit too much stock into that, about having them being on board before we actually fully support ourselves. And that's a real thing. When you feel alone in your journey, what you're doing is, number one, you're kind of recognizing that it's kind of lonely and you're a little bit isolated from pursuing that unique path or that really ambitious goal that you have, because the people in your life may not fully understand it. And even if they want to support it, it's something very different from what they are used to. And it's a lot of the reason why you feel separated. You kind of feel like you're on your own island. And that sense of isolation creates a different set of challenges to go towards those goals, because you're taking that non-traditional path to make the thing that you dare to dream, those big aspirations, those big dreams that not everybody else has. Not everybody has that same kind of mindset or the vision that you do. So it does make it hard to have others in your cheerleading camp. And so what do? Because we don't want to give up on our dreams. And we have that big vision. And sometimes we just feel a little stuck because that big vision is something that we feel deep, deep, deep inside our soul. But we just don't know how to get there. But we know it's possible. It's absolutely possible. But it feels better when we feel like we're not doing it by ourselves. When you feel like you've got somebody to bounce those ideas off of, or to say, hey, this is where I'm at. I'm feeling a little stuck. Or even on some of those days when you just feel like, I need a boost. And I really don't want to do this alone. But sometimes we have to. Sometimes we have to be our own cheerleader. We have to pull ourselves up out of that mess of that negative self-talk, of the doubts, of the thinking that maybe everybody else is right, and maybe I just need to do what everybody else does. But we know better. We may say that, but deep inside we know better, because the whole reason we don't know what we're doing yet is because it hasn't been done. And that conscious brain of ours is telling us, let's stay safe. Let's play it safe. We don't know where this is going to go. But that burning desire inside you is saying, move out of the way. Hell or high water. We're busting through. We are going to make this happen. And sometimes one of those voices is louder than the other. The one we want to feed, the one we want to grow, is that voice inside us. That voice that tells us that we can do anything. We are unlimited. And the amount of power behind that kind of energy is why we have all the innovations that we have now. It's why we have electricity. It's why we have cell phones. It's why we have the internet. It's why our world is shrinking and we are able to reach out to people across the world. That wasn't possible a couple decades ago. In fact, I'm dating myself a little bit, and I went to U-Haul to get one of my propane tanks for the heaters filled. And a young gentleman helped me to fill my tank, and I paid. He said, do you want to pay out here? And I'm like, yeah, I'll pay by card. So he's got a little handheld device that takes a credit card payment. How awesome is that? No cords, right? And he was like, sorry, it's taking so long. And it really wasn't even that long. But we are living in the day and age of everything is instant. Everything is right now. And I kind of laughed and I said, oh, don't worry. It's really not that long. I said, don't you remember when we had to wait for faxes to come through? And he goes, what? And I go, do you know what a fax machine is? And he's like, no. I'm like, okay, never mind. But how easily we forget all the conveniences that we have. And it's because somebody decided to break the mold and get into that uncomfortable zone to create something that's never been done before. How amazing. And thank you. Thank you to everybody out there, the innovators, the people that decided to challenge the norm and say, you know what? This is something that I can dream up and it's going to happen. I mean, something as simple. I love the fact that I can get in a car and just drive somewhere. I can get in a plane and fly somewhere, save so much time. I love the fact that if I'm in a rush, I can just put food in a microwave and heat it up instantly. But there is the downside to all this instant gratification. When we have our dreams, when we have those big, hairy, scary dreams, those visions that we dare to dream, that we know can make come true, time is not on our side. We become impatient. And then that, how long does it take, starts talking to our conscious brain that wants to talk us out of these big dreams. And then we start having that negative self-talk, our lack of confidence, our lack of support. And that's what we got to stop feeding that part of our brain. We have to reframe how we think about things. We have to emphasize the importance of, look where we have gotten from here. Where were we before? How many things have we achieved? And it's hard to think about that because it feels like time moves so slow. It feels like things take so long that sometimes it feels like we're not even making any progress. So how do we change that? How do we get back in touch with that inner fire inside us that wants to do these things, that wants to see it through? Well, we have to reconnect with that inner voice. We have to reinforce that idea inside that everything we have is already in us. It's just a matter of trial and error. If we don't fail, we won't succeed, because failure is what helps build that grit. It helps what keeps us going to learn. We find out all the ways it doesn't work, but don't stop. The only true failure is when you quit. And you don't need validation. You already know inside. You know it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of figuring it out until you figure out what works. The key is staying motivated, being steady and even. Continue to go and push forward. Even if everybody else doubts you. Because those limiting beliefs come from that negative self-talk. And if you allow other people to talk to you in a way where you're going to start believing them, then what does that say for you? We are stronger than that. And yes, it is so nice to have somebody else tell you that you're on the right path and you're going to make it. But sometimes we have to be our own cheerleader. And we have to resist those negative external voices. We have to ignore what other people think, what other people believe. And here's the thing. If somebody who's loving and is trying to be supportive, but they say things like, well, maybe that's just not the right thing. Maybe you should just give that up and just, because they don't know what they don't know. They don't know that burning desire in your heart. They don't know that your vision is going to happen. It's already happened in the future, and you just have to line up where you're at to that future self. Because it is totally possible. And there was a quote that I heard or that I read the other day, and I really resonated with it because it's something that holds so true. And it's something that you don't really think about until you hear it and you start pondering it. How other people see me and how they feel about me is none of my business. Let me say that again. How other people see me and how other people feel about me is none of my business. I cannot control other people. And sometimes when we care so much about what somebody else thinks, we start changing who we are because of what we want them to believe about us or to think about us. And that's actually one of the worst things you can do for yourself. This is the part about being selfish. And I say being selfish, not so that you can be arrogant, not so that you can be conceited, but being selfish so that way you are true to who you are inside. Because when you are true to who you are inside, and that strengthens who you are, your confidence, you can become that leader that everybody needs. I know you know what I'm talking about. There are people in our lives that need us to help show them what is possible. They need to see our example so that they can believe in themselves. And our conscious brains, everybody's conscious brain, is wired for safety. And it's going to resist those big goals. It's going to have doubt. That's what ordinary people are usually wired for. It's how we were raised. It's how society teaches us. You got to stay with the flow. Got to do what everybody else does. But when you ignore that inner voice calling you to a greater purpose, it doesn't feel right inside. You need to trust your potential. You need to trust that your inner voice knows what your true path is. You really are limitless. There is so much that you can accomplish, but you got to start by believing in yourself. And when you believe in yourself and you stay focused on that goal, you can accomplish so much. And think about how awesome it is. Once you have that success, how amazing that feels, and everybody around you, you're teaching them. And that is what true leaders are about. Doing that unthinkable. Just because you haven't achieved it yet doesn't mean it's not right there. So you got to learn to trust yourself. Keep on pushing through to that goal, being consistent, showing up for yourself. And one of the bigger things is finding the other leaders that have gone before you. Because we do need support. We have to have support and belief in ourselves. But when you align with people that have gone before you, the other leaders that are farther along in their path than you, they will bring you up. They will encourage you. They will help you find that strength that you know you already have deep inside you. And they will help you get to your success. There are a few things that you can do that will help you when you're feeling alone, when you feel like you have to cheer your own self on, and ways that you can stay motivated. Number one is to remember whatever voice you're feeding is the one that's going to grow. So feed yourself good thoughts. Feed yourself positive affirmations. Feed yourself that vision of where you want to be. Visualize. Feel it in your body. What do you think it's going to feel like once you get there? Once you've done what you're trying to do? That is a power in itself. Being able to see yourself already successful, already living that dream. And the accountability. Continue to take those small steps, like that habit stacking. Every small step that you take towards that big dream is going to reinforce that it's going to come true sooner than later. It will happen. And lastly, seek out those that have that mindset that you have, the leaders that have gone before you, whether they're coaches, whether they're groups, whether they're mentors. Network. Get yourself in that company. Like they say, you are known by the company that you keep. So don't keep company of small minds. Keep company of big minds, the ones that are going to help you, and you help them. Because that's where the power is. You have that power to control how you think about yourself, what you're doing on a daily basis, and who you decide to put yourself around. Those are 3 things that are going to help you succeed and kick ass. Go out and get that dream. Make it come true. And I'm telling you, once you get it, it's going to be on to the next big vision. Because that's what we are. Leaders, we grow. We're constantly challenging ourselves, and that's why we're so awesome. That's why everybody thinks that we can do so much. Because we can. But it takes time. Time is that one thing that you think is taking too long until you look back and you reflect on how much time has gone by. So don't waste that time. And not everything is instant gratification, because those things that we have to work really hard for are the things that we appreciate the most. I know it is for me. And I'm going to keep on pushing until I hit the next goal. And then I'm going to get another goal and a bigger goal and a bigger goal after that, because that is why I love my life. That is what makes it so exciting and frustrating and everything in between. But you know what? It's the ups and downs that make my life worth living to me. I don't want just a boring life. I want to be able to feel those big dreams happen, the big excitement. And yes, in order to appreciate the big things, you have to appreciate the little things and the big losses, the big failures that come and teach you that lesson, that slap you in the face and you're like, damn, all right, I won't do that again. But how exciting is it, right? It's like they say, you don't appreciate the sunshine without the rain and the storms. You don't realize what you have until it's gone sometimes, and that's not what I want. I want to appreciate what I've got right now, in the moment. I'm appreciating what I have right now until I get that next thing. And I'll appreciate that until I'm going for that next big goal. And that's what we're going to be talking about in our next episode on Thursday, celebrating the small wins. Because it's those small wins that help us keep that momentum, that help keep us going towards the bigger goals. The small wins have power within the things that we do. And we'll talk more about that next time. But I want to leave you with this. I want to leave you with some encouragement that being your own cheerleader is sometimes a necessity, but it's about building that self-confidence. And it's just not just part of your journey. It's one of the most empowering aspects of your life, because knowing that you can do it, whether other people believe in you or not, that helps build your character. So I invite you to tune in again on Thursday. Thank you so much for listening. If this resonates with you, or if you enjoy my episodes, I would love for you to subscribe and leave me a comment if there's something that you'd like to hear me talk about. And again, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I love that you guys will listen. And I hope you have a great week. It's Sunday. Appreciate all the little things. And don't give a damn about what other people think, because you need to focus on you and building up your strengths. I love you. I will talk to you on Thursday.